Dortmund coming up next week, who's just had massive loss to Bayern Munich in Der Klassiker a couple hours before, as well, around the same time this ended. I mean, that's going to be a big challenge altogether, a different challenge altogether, albeit today Arsenal was also a big challenge in itself.
Yeah, they know what to expect. You know, I was here for the Dortmund game, and they're a very good side. I know they've had a loss today, but they won't change that. They'll know what to expect from this Newcastle side. As he said, I think it all depends on what players are available to him come Wednesday. Definitely. Because we've seen a few players go off. They look a little bit like they've got a few knocks, but hopefully you can put out the strongest side. They know what to expect from Dortmund, so I'm sincerely hoping they can go and put another performance like they put out today and get a result there.
That's the big problem when you've got a side, you know, a football team that's getting thinner and thinner by the weeks. Yeah. You know, you've got games that come in thick and fast, and you've got players to commit, you know, and injuries don't help. You know, like you said, he's got a real headache ahead of him, and it's getting harder. Because every game he seems to be losing 1-2 players a game, and at this level, at one point I think he's going to run out of players.
Can you look into that a little bit more as per why Newcastle have so many mounting injuries? A lot of them tend to be, well, Jacob Murphy today is a shoulder thing, which he's had for a while, but quite a few of them were muscular injuries more than impact injuries.
I think you have to look at the way the physicality and the way Newcastle play.
Yeah.
They play front foot football, and they play physical.
Intensity.
The intensity, the running power that they have. And they've had, this is the third game in a week now. It's demanding on a team, especially the way they play. Really demanding. It does bring injuries, especially when you're playing full tilt. So
does he need to change the way training is set up? Because we know how intense Eddie Howe can train his players.
There won't be a lot of training going on at the moment, you know, because the games are coming thick and fast. But I do believe as well as the physicality of the way they play, I think the emotions of where they are right now, you know, in the Champions League as well, because that takes a draining on you as well. Because I watched them in the Dortmund game, and then I watched them against Wolves, and they were so flat because they put so much emotion into the game against Dortmund. And okay, they didn't get the result. They took so much out of them, and that can help lose your physique and your physicalities that you need in the game, and it takes a drain on you. So I don't think it's just about the way they play. I think it's all the emotions that go with it as well.
Very, very true. Over the last couple of games, you can see after 60, 70 minutes, you can see the legs start to get heavy and your head start to drop because you know you've muscle fatigue. You're more prompt to be getting an injury, and that's the problem. You know, the tired, the more you get tired, the more you create. The more you create that atmosphere where you know mentally you're not there, and physically you snap. And you know, we're lucky we're doing well at the minute. So you know.
Hold on a minute. Listen here. They'll be happy today. They done a lap of honour and rightfully so got clapped by the fan base. Newcastle, I thought, were awesome today. They had the physicality. They got the right result at home today. Now it's recovery. As Les says, it's about recovery. You've got to recover, and you've got to go again in Dortmund, because you know what? For this club to qualify out of the group in the Champions League will be huge.
What can they achieve this season then?
They need a trophy. That is the bottom line for Newcastle. Newcastle are a huge club. They've got to win something. They were so close last season, but now in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, they're in the Champions League. They're in a big shout within the group. They're pushing up there in the league. It's all happening on Tyneside, isn't it? It's all happening, but they've got to get some silverware.
Yeah. Is it just silverware? Do you think in the league as well, with the spirit that they've shown that they can pull together, that they could potentially challenge for something there?
I think when you look at this Newcastle side, what you're seeing now is a side that look like they belong in the top echelons of the Premier League. They want to get to the top, and they'll continue to build on that. They've got great momentum at the moment. They've got a good team, but they want to build on it. They won't rest on their laurel. They won't rest on these players and say, okay, you're going to take us to the top. They're going to keep adding to this squad, and so I think January will be a real interesting time to see what players they add to the squad, if any.
Yeah.
It's definitely a moment that's going to be very important. You know, when you arrive in January, when the transfer window open, you're going to need to get the players. You know, I'm sure they already have targeted a few players, but it's going to be very important that those players are as committed, and hopefully they will be hitting the ground running.
And whoever you buy, or whoever you bring in, they have to be a squad player.
Yeah.
They have to play the flexible squad player, because you're not going to play every game, but there's so many games now because Newcastle are doing so well that you have to take your time to rest on the sideline, and then when you get your opportunity, you've got to produce, and that's what they've been doing now. So anybody who comes in has to join the group with the same mindset.
Well, after such a big week for Newcastle United, we don't want to let it get to our heads, but we're going to big up them just a little bit more because they're well ahead of the plan that they had since the takeover happened. Let's be honest. How far do you think, or just how many years do you think before Newcastle United can win the Premier League title?
And that's what I'm talking about. I think they're way ahead of where we thought they would be. You know, if I said to you this time last year, Newcastle are going to be near the top of the Premier League, in the Champions League, I don't think we'd all have thought, no, you're jumping ahead of yourself. So let's not get too carried away. Let's enjoy this while we can and see where they can get to. I don't want to put too much pressure on them. You know, and Dan, all the stuff that you spoke about the players that they need to bring in, Dan Ashworth will be doing his due diligence on those players and making sure they bring the right players to Newcastle
What we
United.
know is that it's going to take a few years. If you look at the project that Man City had, it took them a few years to win that Champions League. And I think for a club like Newcastle, it's going to take at least five years to build,
Yeah.
to build and to stay at the top.